Hi, this is the Nikon FG. Great little film camera. The problem that it is having is when you go to wind the film, it's overlapping frames, not winding completely. Had a lot of bad rolls that are coming through. So we're going to go through the process of diagnosing and fixing this camera. I've got some basic tools here. Don't know what I'll need. So my tools are a brush for getting the dust out. Got a small toothpick, good for applying lubricants and oils. Also got a small assortment of screwdrivers here. Phillips and slot. Got some sewing machine oil and Ronsol lighter fluid. Please use discretion if this is what you're going to use to clean parts. May not be the best thing to use on all parts. Alright, let's see if we can replicate the problem. I'm going to put a test roll into the camera and we will start from there. Alright, so the first couple of frames seems to be going well. Let's turn it over and take a look at this. Right here is the release mechanism. This is what's used for rewinding the film. If we push this in, now the film will freely travel backwards. Let's make sure that it's actually re-engaging as we wind it. Oh, there we go. So it's coming out partially and then it's depressing a little bit. And that's what's causing our film to slip and drag. So the next step is going to be we're going to remove these screws on the bottom of the FG camera and get in and take a look at this mechanism. Okay, so I've already removed 1, 2, 3. This is the last screw that I've got. I don't know, I may be missing a screw here. I'm not for sure. The old camera, been around a long time. So now this bottom plate, simply just kind of give it a little pry on one side, a little pry on the other. Don't want anything to bind. Delicate pieces of machinery. So the inside of the Nikon FG has like 5,000 moving parts, maybe even more. But the one that we're concerned with is this right here. Okay, so I've moved around for some better lighting. If this is depressed, that will allow us to wind the camera. So let's carefully see what happens as it's depressed. Right there we see the spring moves into place and locks this down, allowing the film to slide backwards. Now, this winder here on the side, let's carefully turn the winder and see what happens. It looks as if this rotates, probably hits a cam, and pushes that spring out of the way to allow it to come back up. Problem being is it doesn't look like it's actually coming up all the way. So I'm going to take a look in here real quick and see if I can find a way to clean and lubricate this small area. Alright, after looking at the internal mechanism, what I've decided to do is I am going to carefully remove this black screw right here, which is what holds the spring in place for this mechanism. Sorry about the lighting. Now there are a lot of places inside this camera for this screw to dislodge and disappear. Thankfully I'm using a magnetic screwdriver, so hopefully luck will be with me. And it's not. So we'll see if we can just get that to ever so gently tap out. There it is. Okay. I'm going to put this over here with my other screws. Okay, now I'm going to use my toothpick, because it's kind of got a soft edge, to pull the spring out of the way. If you can see here, this little hole. All right. Okay, so now the spring is out of the way and free. I'm going to work on this mechanism. The spring actually feels good. I mean, it's popping back up like it should, so instead of disassembling the camera anymore, I'm just going to use a little bit of cleaning technique and spring technique and see what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to be using some of this lighter fluid here as a cleaning agent, but before I do that, I need to test to see if there's any rubber or anything that this could actually damage hereby. So I've got my little screwdriver here, and if I tap on the steel, you'll hear it click. And this little black piece right here, I'm not sure if this is rubber or steel, so I'm going to tap on it. I get the same little click. Maybe even put just a little scratch in there. I believe that this part's going to be safe for lighter fluid. Always check this stuff before you do this. Okay, so my cleaning procedure is simply going to be to put a little bit around the outside edge of this pin. Okay, so what I have is I have a cotton swab, and I have removed about half of it off this one side, and I just need to make sure that it's going to fit here and only touch that area. So it looks like I need to take a little bit more off of it. Just kind of use my fingers to twist that back in place. All right. Oh, that's going to be perfect. So we'll put the lighter fluid on there. I'm just kind of rolling this off here. I've got a piece of paper on here. Now, as I wind the film, you'll see that this is actually moving. So I'm going to just position this up here in the corner where it's only touching that piece. Get a wind on it. Alright, that's good enough. Didn't really get a whole lot off of there, but we've got the fluid on there, so let's work it. This really is feeling a lot better. Spring's doing good. I'm going to do this process maybe 3 times. Okay, so now that I have cleaned it, I'm going to use the dry end of the Q-tip. Twist it so that all of the fuzzies are laid down. I will stick it in there and simply do one wind so that I can make sure that I have removed any residual residue that may have occurred. Okay, that's good. Now, perhaps somewhat difficult to see here. Maybe we can get the light to come around. Oh, there we go. You can see the spring right down underneath there. Okay, so got the toothpick once again. We're going to put a drop of oil on it. Not very much. You don't want to make a mess of this stuff. Apply with the toothpick. There we go. A little bit of oil. There we go. Get that to drop off. Good. Now, I'll get this back around here where all of you can see it. There we go. You guys got a good view now. It's going to come up in here. Apply a little bit in there. Get it down there on that pin the best that I can. Of course, we're going to have to do the winding technique again. Sorry this is taking so long. I was trying to make a nice quick video and I think we've probably got to 10 minutes already. That right in there, and then wind, using my finger at the bottom to actually wind the camera. Get that lubricant where it needs to go. Okay, now that I've got some of this in here, what I can do is use my finger to hold the button in. So I want it to depress and actually get down into the socket. Then I'll go through the process of winding this several times. Every time I wind it, that film release knob is spinning in a circle, so it's using the oil to lubricate that area. Oh man, that's cool. Boy, that just pops up and down so nice and easy. Guys, I think we've got a fix here for sure. If I just take this and then slide it out of the way, you can see it just pops right up. Excellent. That's a lot better than it was. Okay, so now that we've got the pen lubricated, as with the initial cleaning procedure, I'm going to use my dry cloth tucked right up here next to it and give it a wind. I want to get all of the excess oil off in a way. I don't want any places for dirt to catch up. And this is just on the outside. We've managed to get the oil inside that spring, so we're perfectly good there. Now we're going to take our brush and we're just going to kind of lightly work over the area, get some of this stuff back. I'm actually going to use the suck part. And then just kind of lightly get everything off and away from that area. I should probably clean the rest of the stuff in here, but I don't want to bother with kicking dust up since I've just done this oil. Okay, so this is the original spring that we took out. The long tab is the spring part. That needs to be on the side with the lens. The other short piece where the notches are at, that goes towards the back of the camera, towards the film. I'm going to attempt to do this where you can see it. So hope for the best. Alright, so now it is in. The thing left to do here is get it lined up where we need it, using my trusty toothpick. Alright, so now we've got it lined up, our little springs up here on the front. Let's get a screw in there and then we'll see about adjusting some tension. Okay, so the piece is in place here, and I have used my screwdriver to kind of just ever so slightly line these holes up, get them where I would like. I can't guarantee that you guys are going to see what I'm doing here, but let's hope for the best, right? Carefully thread this because it would be extremely easy to get it misthreaded. But don't tighten it down all the way. We still need to adjust it. I'm just going to get it snug. That's good. Okay, so there is some gappage down here on the bottom, which wasn't originally there before. So we need to do some adjustments to make sure that this is properly. So let's push this in. The spring is depressed slightly, but I think it needs to come closer. So since this is still pretty loose, I'll use one finger to push this down, and I'll use the other finger to slide this more over towards the place where it ought to be. There we go. I'm comfortable with that. So now I can take the screwdriver. Again, this is aluminum. You don't have to be super tight with this. Just don't want it to come out. Give it a nice little snuggie. Alright. Now we can wind the winder and see if this actuates and pops up. There it is right here, engaging on the cam. Oh wow, and popped all the way up. That's perfect. That's a lot better than it was doing in the beginning. I believe this is a good camera repair, but let's go ahead and throw some film in the back and run some tests, make sure everything's good to go. Assembly is just like the assembly at the beginning of the video, so back it up and that should help you put everything back together. Okay. Cover's back on. This is the last screw for me anyway. I don't know. It sure looks like I'm missing one. That could have fallen out any time between now and 1986 or 82, whenever they made this camera. Okay, got the bottom on. Everything's back together. Now we need to put a roll of film in it and test it. Got some film out of a bargain bin at a garage sale. And I've used this roll for testing forever. I just never roll it all the way back up. Alright, well everything appears to be going good. First thing I want to test is push the actuator in. It locks. It allows the film to go backwards like it's rewinding. Now let's wind it. Oh wow, look at that. Popped all the way out like it's supposed to. Going through, everything's winding excellent. This is good. I really miss this camera. This was one of my favorite ones to shoot. Push it back in. There we go. Rewind mode. Everything's coming backwards. Run through the... and pops all the way out. All right. You know, this thing broke down the other day. It made me mad. So I did one of those impulse eBay buys and bought a Nikon F4. I thought, all right, it's time to upgrade and make sure I don't have this issue again. I'm going to sit here and run about 10 rolls through just to make sure this issue is fixed all the way. But I think this is a good doable repair. Remember, you know, if you got a Leica or Hasselblad or one of those F-series cameras that cost hundreds of dollars and you don't know what you're doing, send that thing in to a actual repair shop. Have a good CLA done on it. That's a gift. And I think he picked it up for 25 bucks at a garage sale. So good luck. Hope this helps you with fixing your camera if you ever have this issue. Thanks.